test, test.
It's like a game, everybody dies, has no fun. Still I wanna play it, even if I am, but I begun. Just make me feel alive in spite of rising water. Abandoning my car about a mile from nowhere. Just make me feel alive in spite of rising water. Abandoning my car about a mile from nowhere. Mile from nowhere. Mile from nowhere. What happens now? It's your lucky day. It's your lucky day. So write it down. Yes, we're gone astray. Yes, we're gone astray. I wish I cried. It's your lucky day. It's your lucky day. It wasn't mine. Yes, we're gone astray. Yes, we're gone astray. But you make me feel alive in spite of rising water. Abandoning my car about a mile from nowhere. Just make me feel alive in spite of rising water. Abandoning my car about a mile from nowhere. Mile from nowhere. Mile from nowhere. Went away, realized you were gone. So I sat at the edge of the lawn. Days go by, still no sign of your goal. Never call, never write, it's a loss. It's make me feel alive in spite of rising water. Abandoning my car about a mile from nowhere. Just made me feel alive in spite of rising water. Abandoning my car about a mile from nowhere. You make me feel alive in spite of rising water. Abandoning my car about a mile from nowhere. Just make me feel alive in
Hallo, hallo. Nee, de slide met de gehele conferentieinformatie. Ja, deze. Ja.
Welcome to you all today here in Eindhoven at the FNR. We're delighted that you're here with us online and here in Eindhoven to join us on our journey today. So we are delighted to first welcome two of our supporters here. So first of all, we have Monique Knapen from Creative Holland and Tommy Hendricks from Entry. So let's hear it from them.
Thank you, Marie, and thank you for having this great event at this special occasion, the Dutch Design Week. For our Chinese audience, 晚上好，太好了，你们多参加这个特别的很棒的一个会。Yeah, this is a very new thing. It is a whole digital conference, and I think it's great that Creative Holland, together with the people from Entry, made this possible, and we want to thank not only the RVO for doing this, the City of Amsterdam, the Embassy in Beijing, but of course also the Dutch Design Week to have this wonderful event today. I hope you will all enjoy what we'll bring to you. Thank you so much. And the floor is for Tommy, who arranged with Entry this for I think already the 5th time, right?
Yes, that's correct. And it's the second cooperation with the Dutch Design Week. We started last year for the first time. So I really want to thank all the participating partners, the audience online and offline, to all make this special China focus program of the Dutch Design Week such a success. I'm not going to talk any longer because we got great speakers. So let's kick off.
Super. Thank you, Tommy. So we are live here in Eindhoven. This is Liddy Brouwer, and I will be your hosts and moderators for today. We are here under special circumstances in the Netherlands. We are under a semi-lockdown, so Dutch Design Week is completely online. You have noticed Bien is our title. It comes from the Chinese philosophy, meaning the philosophy of change, transformation, and metamorphosis, key words in both Taoism and Chinese Buddhism. It is used to describe things transforming from one type to another. Think, for example, of the transformation from a caterpillar to a butterfly, from a broken world to a new emerging one. A crisis brings movement and flow. It contains the potential to open up knots and bring positive change. It is in this particular momentum when reflection and cultural exchange with China is especially pertinent. We can use this strong source of change to accelerate creativity and design, to design a roadmap towards a better future. We have learned from history how previous pandemics and national catastrophes have brought changes. Infrastructure, for example, light in housing, development of new public domains, for example. Our program today brings leading Chinese and Dutch designers and thinkers together to learn, exchange, and bring opportunities and inspiration for multiple cooperation as a bridge between Chinese and Dutch design. Following our theme, we will travel into Chinese design with a special interview with the leading designer Ma Yansong, the founder of Mad Architects. We will then move to panel 1, which is on the countryside, and panel 2 on pioneers of change. The panel 3 will bring together support initiatives from China and the Netherlands for more cooperation. So many of you followed our program last year, where we introduced Dutch designers coming back from China and Chinese designers in the Netherlands. So this year we are proud to highlight a major milestone. Currently in development, there is an architectural intervention being developed by Ma Yansong, the founder of Mad Architects, right here in the Netherlands, in Rotterdam. So this is a new milestone in bilateral design exchanges. So Liddy has prepared an interview with Ma Yansong. So there you go.
Yes, so he had the chance to catch up with Ma Yansong and speak about his project of Phoenix in Rotterdam, which is a major cultural intervention. We talked about his inspiration from the surrounding location and the experience of working in the Netherlands. Though we he was in China when we talked. It sounds sometimes like he's dialing in from Mars.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ma Yansong from Mad Architects, Beijing, China. And I'm very happy to be part of Dutch Design Week. Currently, we're working on one project in Rotterdam. It's on the harbor of Rotterdam. The current building, there's a warehouse called the Phoenix Food Factory. The future plan is to transform this place into a museum. This project is super interesting for me because one is located in Netherlands, where you have a really rich contemporary and modern architecture history. And so I'm thinking, if I can do architecture in this cultural environment, what's new I can bring to the place? The museum will host a lot of artworks, a lot of documents about immigration in last century. And it's right on the harbor where the boat used to depart for other destinations. I think immigration and travel is like a journey of unknown. You're looking for different things, something new, and you don't know what to expect. So we designed this public stair, and we insert this public stair into the old building. We kept the old building as it is, and with a new structure in the middle of the building, it creates this focal point of public space. So attract people to go into the museum and take the stair, not only to the upper levels for the exhibition, but also they can go beyond the roof and they can have a beautiful views towards the city and the harbor around the museum.
Yes. So who knows, Ma Yang-song knows about San Shui, which describes the serenity and the balance in a painting. Ma Yang-song took this notion and implemented it within architecture. We asked him to explain this notion to people who did not grow up with San Shui.
Maybe you can find in many of my projects that I introduce a lot of nature elements into architecture. Sometimes we introduce mountains or rocks or water, fluid water shapes. But for me, it's not just about the nature. In China, we call this feeling shanshui. If you directly translate this definition, it's called mountain and water culture. It's an art form that exists in the previous paintings or musics or poems. They use all different art forms to celebrate the emotional connection between human and nature. So in China, in the past, people think nature is extension of a human spirit, and they complete a life by imagining the meaning of life in different natural forms. So I want to bring this culture into the contemporary practice of architecture and urbanism. I think that's somehow really lacking in contemporary cities, because in the modern cities, we often talk about volume, the density, the function, technology, traffic, material. So I would say my shanshui philosophy is extension from the traditional values, but also I believe this we can apply to the contemporary urbanism and bring that to a new, different level. If we think the future of our world should be more about human and nature instead of space and objects and the capitalism and power. So how we treat this relationship for human and nature, I think this emotional connection is the key. During this pandemic, I was
Yes. So since Ma used to travel a lot and is currently in quarantine after his last trip, we asked him if he experienced or learned something new because of the pandemic. What we as society or designers should take note of.
During this pandemic, I was thinking about definition for freedom. You know, what is important to have a freedom in our urban space, in the public space. Sometimes we create public space, but they're not necessarily bring freedom to people, which is super important factor that should not just be a space for people to to have activities, but also I think quality public space should be a spiritual place that helping people to imagine or rethink their lives. If we can bring freedom of a spirit for human being in the cities, how can we do it? Maybe that's something I learned from my experience when during this crisis in China. I was staying home, and one day I think, oh, maybe I should go to the countryside, and there's not many people there. There's no danger, so I went. It was absolutely beautiful, and there's villages, and the people live there. They don't know what's happening in the cities. So I think this pandemic is somehow it's another form of urban issues. When people are getting so close and too dense, and we cannot solve some issues, and this problem happened. But it's not a problem when you go into nature. So maybe the nature is one possibility for us to have the freedom and to enjoy the beauty of the world. So I think we should balance the nature and the city from right now. Bring nature and more open space into the cities. Also, when we do architecture, we should learn from the nature and bring more natural elements and spiritual quality of the nature into the artificial world.
So, balance between nature and the city, as Ma mentions. And he also speaks of the countryside. Is it a prophecy that this year a special exhibition developed by Rem Koolhaas Amo and his team opened at the Guggenheim in New York? Well, the countryside has been neglected for too long, and the wind is changing here. Now, we are delighted to welcome our first panelist for the Countryside panel, Challenging Traditions. We are delighted to welcome our first speaker, Stefan Peterman, who is the founder of MAN Agency, visiting professor of at the Central Academy of Fine Arts in Beijing, and who has been part of the China research of the Countryside exhibition, which is currently on show at the Guggenheim in New York. Welcome, Stefan.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind invitation and the opportunity to speak about our research. We indeed opened the exhibition in New York just before the lockdown, so unfortunately not everybody has seen it. So any opportunity to share some insights is really appreciated. What we tried in the exhibition in the Guggenheim is to show a rich variety of developments in the countryside in the whole world. But for China, we very quickly found out that the only way to really say something useful or say something relevant is to really have partners in China and to collaborate on a very intimate way. This is why we collaborated for 3 years with the Central Academy for Fine Arts in Beijing, and especially the Visual Arts Innovation Center, to try to scrape through what is actually this enormous space that China contains. Everybody in the West knows the pictures of the rapid urbanization and the extreme skylines, but the fact that since the 70s there's been an equally challenging and daunting revolution in the countryside is largely unknown. Also, the qualities are unknown. And specifically at a moment where in the world, specifically in the US, there is increasing tensions between China and the US. This is, I think, a very important moment to give people an introduction and a moment to reflect on what this larger question is. And that it's not only about trade balances or stealing IP or other kind of harmful things, but there's also a lot of parallels and a lot of mutual beneficial things to look into. This is the opening at the Guggenheim, very briefly with some of the bays in the Guggenheim that were dedicated to China. I will try in 5 minutes to steer you through. We started with this small atlas of comparing the US and China, basically at the same level, at the same moments in time. These are maps, for example, where we contrasted the development of America in terms of its infrastructure and China, both at the same scale. You see, obviously, that there's a counter movement where American rail declined, and obviously China has invested dramatically in this rail network. We had a section that is about Chinese inventions, also to show to an American audience that there's actually a lot of creativity and a lot of new, interesting countryside developments that are happening. In the center of our space, we had this Chinese meeting room designed by Xi Yang of CAFA as a sort of also as a way to start to communicate about what is this political system and what is the actual process. Is it really Xi Jinping who calls the shots, or how do they develop their countryside? And we showed that using a number of ways. One of them, for example, is to have the official state representation and how the layers of government are organized. And we had comments by Chinese experts explaining in practice how actually government is shaping the countryside. We had also a section where we looked at the inventions in the countryside, where we showed some of the highlights of on multiple levels, so not only for design, but also for things like seed advancement. On the left, you see a project by Yuan Lingping, the inventor of super and hybrid rice, and on the other side, new small-scaled initiatives to recollect lost versions of rice, but also very high-tech new developments, very exciting, the Taobao Live rural live streaming platforms, where you can basically on your phone swipe through a number of live casts from farmers all around China, and you can ask them to specifically pinpoint the products that you want, and you get them sent to your house in Beijing or in Shanghai. This is basically what I wanted to share in a very brief, this very brief moment. There's a great catalog of the exhibition. We're also planning on follow-up events and still engaging with the Central Academy of Fine Arts to prolong, even within this COVID situation, communication with China. I think this is specifically within the COVID crisis, but also with the rising political tensions. I think our main mission is to make sure that we keep talking and we keep exchanging, and therefore really trying to create more understanding rather than creating more polarization at this moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Stefan. So, we are delighted now to welcome Xinlin Song, who is joining us from the Panda Island, I believe. Xinlin Song is a community builder. She is a partner of Yunhan Center, and she has also been working with Stefan Peterman on the research project on the countryside. She's an independent consultant network builder based between New York and China, and she combines her specialisms of journalism, urban studies, and community building. So here we have her. Xinlin, welcome. So I think we can't hear you. Is that correct? Not yet. So
can you hear me now?
Yeah, yes, we can hear you. Welcome, welcome.
Hi, Vivian. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
We're excited to see you.
So interesting through this way. I feel little pressure because I only have 5 minutes, but I only have 5 slides, so I think I can make it concise and short. And I work with Stefan on the countryside research, as he already showed you basically all this China part about. So I hope maybe I can bring a little bit different perspective, a little bit understanding and confusions within myself. So, so basically for the past 10 years, if we can roll out the slide, for the past 10 years, I have lived between cultures and stories. And then I have created a function or make a living by bridging this different way of understanding cultures. This is a longer version of slides. I've reduced them to a shorter one, but I will go through this anyway. So I came to this Living Between Culture title by first working with a Dutch journalist and an architect called the Go West Project, where they were trying to understand the emerging megacities in China, in the central and western part of China. And as only Chinese members in this group, my way of my work was to bridge understanding on culture or understanding cities between Western and China. And in this understanding, you know, in this research, we came to a lot of debates between urbanizations in terms of the scale, in terms of the speed, in terms of what happens when everything slows down. We, unfortunately, you know, when we were doing that research, it was a very short time, and the growth was so fast, scales was so expanded, and we couldn't really explain it really well. But then when I was confused about the urbanism topics, I got an invitation basically to understand the countryside with AMO. While this research, I thought I will come to a bit more understanding of what the city is, because maybe the cities and the countryside is somehow connected. By understanding rural issues, I might understand better the urban issues. But in fact, it got me a little bit more confused when it comes to the next slide. If we look at the next slide, one before, if you see this image, what confuses me is that there's even more polarization, the realities in the countryside today. And one day I was talking to farmers in the West China who are preserving seeds, local seeds, and using the traditional way of farming to keep its biodiversity, but also to keep its community thriving and sustaining. And on the next day, I was visiting this farmer in a greenhouse in Shandong, which is probably one of the largest greenhouse areas in the world, learning how to farm something that out of season in a greenhouse. It was really fun and a lot of knowledge involved in it. But this image, as you see, it almost symbolizes this polarization of modernity and traditions. And what is the relevance today to even talk about these issues? And then I come to this, the next page, then I come to this classic text. And then basically it's a text where all the toddlers in China have to read at the very beginning. So I read about this when I was 6 years old, but only now when I'm in my 30s, I start to understand the gravity of this sentence. Basically it says, although we're different in culture, we're united in nature. And it gave me sort of epiphany at the moment when I saw this, is that perhaps that confusion that we have today, or this you know, collective problems that we're facing in the world today, is precisely because we have developed so much understanding in culture, but very little in nature. And by this urge of understanding nature, I start to work with a group of ecological aware architects and urban planners and naturalists, as well as natural educators in the ecological regions, preserve zone in China. And where I came to understand by interacting with local indigenous people is that there are two things that I have to, two things I would like to share. One is the respect of life, that all life It has intrinsic value, irrespective of its usefulness to humans. And the second is that there's a trust in nature, that if you plant a seed, give it care, it will grow. And then trust in nature, if you protect its evolving generations, it will regenerate itself and it will heal. And now you see that by one of our communities in Sanjiangyuan, the Qinghai region, where the cold areas above 4,000 meters above the sea rise, and they're now doing greenhouses. So in the way, it is united as technologies and traditional and knowledge together. They're probably not as much as difference as we see it. And last but not least, and this is the little new project that we're working on and trying to bridge ecological awareness and understanding into urban planning, into architecture and education. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivian. Thank you. So we'll see you back for the discussions. We're delighted now to welcome a concrete example also from Herbert Jan Hiep, the director of IVEM, the Institute for Heritage and Marketing.
Hello, hello. Thank you, Ni hao. Thank you for having me. I'm very inspired by what I saw until now. A lot of nature, a lot of countryside, a lot of development. Can I add a humble example of a small project which we are running in China, in the Chinese countryside, which focuses more on the heritage, on the cultural heritage side. So in the recent years, Chinese government has stressed several times that also not only to pay attention to the nature, but also pay attention to the huge cultural resources that China has from long before. China has been a farmer's nation for 4,000 years. I just realized my father used to tell me when I was a small boy, he used to stress to me, like, when we were just running around in bear hides in Holland, the Chinese already had a very elaborate culture. So I'm going to show you, if everything works out right, some slides. And first, to mark the location where we've been in Jiangxi province, in Jinqi County, a county as big as the province of Utrecht, more or less. First, I'm going to show you, just without sound, some impressions of what we found. Well, I think I have to press it. Oh. So this is a rundown village in the county of Jinqi County. And like this village, there are about 100 or more villages just in this county alone. They're very old, like the tree you saw is about 1,000 years old. So this village must be more or less at least 1,000 years old. At least the place is 1,000 years old. And the local government is very aware of that this 100 villages, old, very historic villages, they represent a kind of a treasure. And what happens in China is, at least what we see, is that one of the first ideas on how to use this treasure, this heritage, is to make it into a touristic place. And so what they used to do is to restore the buildings and then to recreate the ancient times, like people dress up in Ming clothing, running around. But with 100 villages, you cannot fill all the villages with that kind of thing. People will get bored quite soon. So they asked us in to bring a different approach. And let's call it the Dutch approach, which basically consists of that we would like to preserve, let me see if this works, preserve the old structures, the old buildings, but add new functions and new buildings to it. And it looked like this. The first sketch we made in 3 days, being there with next architects, amongst others. We created some new structures, new buildings, where we can have new functions, where we can scale up the amount of people who could visit. We also created, John van der Water did, a nice tower that would look good on selfies and help in the marketing of this village. It's, after all, still about tourism. I'm going to show you now a few pictures of what happened next. So that's how it became, the last part. So just before the COVID crisis, we couldn't go back. And our Chinese counterpart finished it according to their best beliefs and best tastes. And this confronted us, first of all. We were a bit shocked by what we saw, what they did with it. But the second thought was, of course, that we were there not just to show how fantastic the Dutch thinking and Dutch design is, but we were there to learn, and that's it.
Thank you, Herbert Jan. And we're off back to China now to meet with Giovanna Zhang. She is a founder of Pinwu. She was born in Belgrade in Serbia, but she's currently living and working in a village close to Hangzhou. So Pinwu is a multi-practice design studio focusing on China's traditional crafts and materials, and collaborates with both local and international Chinese brands with the task of translating traditional crafts into contemporary design. Welcome, Giovanna.
Hello, hi.
So you prepared for us a little presentation?
Yeah, a little, yeah, by a very large by.
There's a lot to say. Yeah. So here we are. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for inviting me. I'm really glad I'm joining this panel, and it is in the last moment, and I have a small baby, so it's really crazy, but I was really squeezing the time to do it. So I'm super glad that I can share something about China on this side. So yeah, I can start. Actually, PPT is okay. This is us three. We are trio, Lei, me, and Chris. We all met in Milan. We started our journey towards China 2010. And we basically are huge fans of Chinese craft, and we started our philosophy of our studio by learning the objects that we found nearby. So this is our paper chair that came actually from the study of umbrella. We have more this kind of similar products, this is the lamp, the paper installation. We do actually, this is the metal weaving. So most of the things doesn't look very Chinese, but actually the philosophy is what's holding us in China and what's holding us basically in the village. So somewhere around 3 years ago, we literally moved to the village, and we were looking around a place that is maybe 50 kilometers away from Hangzhou. They were calling us to go there and to bring the craft in village, because the lake in a village was protected by the Nature Conservancy, and this is the smallest lake in China. that is protected, and actually the only small lake in China that is protected. So we were kind of amazed by this idea that there is a village very close to the city, super pure, and we start bringing our library in there and our research, so that the villagers can have some interaction with us. So these slides are about our research in a library. So little by little, we covered all the provinces in China. We travel to the smallest places, little villages, and collect, document, photograph. So this is the library, and we photograph the pieces, and we bring them back. So what is the point of our library? Because it is a place that we want to keep most of the materials and most of the crafts, handmade crafts that we found in China. Unfortunately, some crafts even on the way we didn't find because they were already lost. So the speed of losing the craft is incredible fast. So therefore, we are aware we cannot save the craft in a way that paper umbrella cannot be forever paper umbrella. It is impossible. It's not useful as it is. It's beautiful, but not very functional. But this craft is another story. The craft can divide into several steps, and then therefore people can use some of the steps. So we created an exhibition called Handmade in Hangzhou. This exhibition is already on for 6 years, actually 7 years if we count this one, but it is a kind of a gap year. So this exhibition is very special for us. The first one was bamboo, this is silk. The third one is mud. The fourth one is copper, and the fifth one is a paper. It was a one circle of 5 exhibitions. So we are going further. The sixth one was in Paris about the wood joining, and the seventh one was supposed to be in the Eindhoven, but it didn't happen this time. Maybe next year. So we each year we make a research, and with this research we give it to designers that we select, and therefore we try to bring exhibition to some of the points in the world. So there is exchange in between China and the world, made by Chinese designer. And in the same time, our passion to use the library, for so many people to use the libraries, we created a residency program that we invite around 12 to 15 people per year to come to our library and to stay here and do a work, be here for a month or however. So it is going on for already a few years like this. And we are amazed that we already have more than 100 people involved in our process for sharing. So it is incredible opportunity that China is amazingly nutritious land. It has a huge culture. So for us is quite important that we are here and that we are still doing what we do, collect.
Thank you, Giovanna. We hope the exhibition will come next year here to Dutch Design Week. Thank you. So we're now going to move to the second part, which is the discussion. So please feel free, the audience and also our speakers, to join in the discussion. We will start with you, Stefan. So thank you for your fascinating presentation. Really a lot of insights, a lot of information there. If there's one point or one main idea what we can take or learn from the Chinese approach, what would it be? And there's many points, I understand, but if there's one, what would you say it could be?
I would say at least 2.
Yeah, okay.
Let's try that. I'll try to be short, and it's a bit conceptual, but I hope we get it. I think the fundamental value of creating win-win cooperation, I think this is a very important lesson that I learned from China, of how can you create a relationship which is mutually beneficial. I think this is at odds with some of the Western thinking. The second one is a bit linked to that, which is where we tend to think in polar opposites, where the Chinese have an incredible talent to mix polar opposites together somehow, and there's an enormous creativity in that, and thirdly, incredible talent of improvisation, of trying last minute to somehow make something and just go with it. I think this is something that we as Dutch, but partially maybe even wider, can learn from.
Absolutely.
Very good, thank you. So we love this spontaneity, and it leads to creativity as well. Shinlin, you're still with us online from the Panda Island, I believe. So in your presentation, you speak of the ancient Chinese wisdom as also a source of a remedy for climate issues. And here as well in the Netherlands, Liedewij Edelkort, the ambassador of the Dutch Design Week this year, said ancient knowledge will save us. What's your reaction to this? We don't. Unfortunately, there's not yet any sound. Maybe we can see if the sound can turn on. Yeah.
Sorry again. I said since we have tried everything and it doesn't seem to be working, then what's the harm of trying traditional indigenous knowledge? And then secondly is that I think a lot of issues that we're having today collectively in climate issues is that there's a lack of knowledge in understanding place. You know, capitalism, accumulation, see place as something that you can quickly extract values and then you can move to the next one. And there's very little knowledge nor respect to what is really in that place. Where indigenous wisdom were precisely the knowledge that people have lived in harmony with the land for thousands of years through generations. And then that knowledge has kept them safe, or kept them, live and die. And that's a lot of trial and errors. And that is worth carrying on to at least take into consideration while moving forward. And also, secondly, or the last thing I would say is that there's a worldview difference in the indigenous village that they see, not only Chinese, but as the whole world indigenous group see human as part of nature rather than apart from the nature. And by that worldview, they develop cultures, develop social organizations, develop rituals, develop other type of practices to keep that interconnectedness alive. But the past 300, 200 years of very mechanical understanding of the world, which is great, that keep us, up to the moon, but maybe moving forward, we need to understand a little bit more about life and what consists as life and what is really underneath our feet, the fungi, or that how the nature connect with each other. And that knowledge, I think we can get a lot from indigenous wisdom.
Wonderful. There's a lot we still need to learn. And Herben Jan Hiep, we also had a very interesting insight through your experience in China. What can we learn from China, and how do you see the Netherlands contributing to the countryside?
We can learn a lot from China, and we will learn a lot from China. Already what you see here presented a lot of new ideas, or what I learned is get out of your bubble, get out of your Dutch design bubble, open your eyes, go and visit China, and
experience it yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, do it.
Go and dive in.
Dive in.
You'll be
Absolutely.
surprised,
Yes.
by the many layers and complexities. That's great. Giovanna, we're just going to go back to you before we open up the discussion. So you visited many, many villages in China, and we're really excited about the Library of Crafts you're collecting from places all around in the countryside. Is it accessible to all your library, and could it become a model for different provinces and even countries?
Well, it's a dream that it goes further to the world, because I think in China one is already enough. It's been as like a roller coaster already. But I really wish it could have a 1 point or 2 points in a world, that it could have a copy paste. What is convenient to be in China is that actually brings people to China to look to China with different eyes. So I don't know, the feeling of library would be the same, because we saved the building from the 60s, that it was a theater. It's a mud house, so it's the works in there really fits, like belong there. So in a way that it's a thought. It's a thought. Why not? Basically, it's a positive thing to have the valuable research anywhere, and to spread it even more.
And it's certainly very inspiring to start those all over the world for other designers and creatives to learn from you. So very excited. So we also have perhaps some questions from Zoom. So then we're going to have some questions that were sent in earlier. So this is open to all four of you. So please feel free. How do you imagine the future of the countryside in China? We've seen two strands. We've seen the hyper-technological and futuristic development, but we've also seen the preservation of heritage and ancient wisdom and crafts. So how do you see them coexisting?
Easily. It's very big, so it will all be there.
I think that it will be a total hybrid and a total integration of both high tech and low tech. There will be not one outcome to this solution or to this question. Definitely, I would say. I think Xinling is agreeing.
Xinling.
But there's also a big question. There's also a huge opportunities that need to. I mean, it's not that that everything is happy peppy and that sort of this countryside is now finished. Although the Communist Party declared that now poverty has been alleviated this year in the countryside, I think it's actually more of an important moment that. Some of the initial efforts that were made to eradicate poverty in the countryside will have to be now followed up with let's say a more difficult form of progress, a more enhanced, so the old way of just putting out industrial production and these heavy types of facilities in the countryside, just pushing in capital to make it float, will not work on the long run, and I think they know it, and they have to really develop more careful, indeed mindful, cultural, and also, just more local initiatives to flourish really on a higher level. And I think that's a real challenge.
Yes, definitely.
The future is still to be made. And in China, making things, at least is what I experienced, is like the old saying, crossing the river by feeling the stones. You know, you try, you learn, you try, you learn. You don't set out like, it's going to be like this.
Yeah.
No, it happens. This is very nice there.
I agree.
We'll see what happens with the countryside, and we can draw some lessons from it, maybe for the other parts of the world, because everywhere in the world there's the problem with the countryside, or at least an empty countryside. So let's get inspired. Let's lean back, look at China, get inspired.
Wonderful. Giovanna, did you want to add something to that? No. So I think that we have some problems with sounds. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I am muted. Yeah, I really like the idea you cross the river by feeling the stones. This is exactly how living in China is. And I so love this thing is everything is chabudo, but in a great positive way. It's like almost, everything is almost good, but not perfect, but almost there, but not really, but totally cannot do, but there is a way. So I really, really enjoy this philosophy in China. It spins me around, but I really yeah, love it.
Great, thank you. Also, another question for Herbert Jan Hiepe, which is relates to us all, is what we've also seen also in the last film is also what has developed what you said. So. Yeah. You know, and there's also a lot of disnification with the villages, and we can see that. I mean, it's not just, you know, it's in the Netherlands we have Giethoorn. There's also how do you see that? So because you said so because of COVID you've been active, and then you came back and it was a complete different plan. So how do you?
Yeah, nice question. No, I think we should be aware that our perspective is a completely different perspective than the Chinese perspective. Bear in mind the village we just saw, probably in the 70s and the 80s, was still very poor and very isolated from the rest of the world. Now, all of a sudden, this middle class rises, tourists are coming, not yet, but they are coming, and these people have to invent everything, or a big part of everything. Whereas we come from a long tradition of building up tourism, they have to do it from scratch. So yes, from our perspective, sometimes it's like, wow, what are you doing? You know, you've got these beautiful ruins. Why do you want to break them down, build something new? But they'll learn, they'll get there. Again, you know, it takes time, they'll cross the river.
Very good. Okay.
I have one question from Finn Zhao via Zoom for Giovanna. So.
Yeah, I see it in here.
So can we bring Finn to the floor?
Hello.
Great. Here he is. Welcome, Finn.
Hi, Gana.
Hi.
Happy to see you again. Long time no see.
Yeah, long time.
Yeah, good to know that you have a wonderful life in the countryside. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. I actually, because for me, I also work in this field for past 5 years for the inherit and innovation of the cultural heritage, the Chinese cultural heritage. And what we describe is like it's the moment of the distant Renaissance, what we describe all the time. So as we see, like you are East meets West and modern with tradition. So for me as a doer, also like I very admire all the things you have done, and for Pingwu, I was thinking a question about as the traditional craft, when are doing the projects as the initiators, how can you balance about the balance between inherit and the innovation of the traditional craft?
It is a very adventurous journey. It's related design. It's related the material itself. What I found is that original inventions use the materials in a really most logic way, and what they didn't have back then maybe was the function of some of the objects which they didn't have need to have. But in a modern world, we of course we have a much more gadgets than what they had before. So this is where it, for me, where these things meet each other. So if we can turn around this philosophy or to bend material a little bit more than it is, so there you go, you get something that is innovative, and of course messing with them, taking it further to a different fields, crossing over from interior design to architecture to the jewelry to the textile. So we can document our research and by studying it, we get new ideas. So I think this is how designers as well, they understand our exhibition that is handmade in Hangzhou, which is Rome, melting, whatever. So I guess the more modern your vision is, maybe you have more idea of materials, I guess. I'm not sure.
Okay. Thanks for answering.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Thank you. So we're going to we're running over time already.
We have one more question.
Okay, because I think we're over time. No, yeah, we're over time. So
Yes or no?
just what I wanted to say is before we go is when. Because we can see the catalog we can buy of the Countryside exhibition. Will it will travel? We can follow you, or
Hopefully, I mean, we'll be continuing our work with the Central Academy of Fine Arts. We currently have a experimental studio together with Zhu Pei at CAFA, where we are developing a new master plan for 4 villages.
Okay.
Actually, not so far, I think, from...
we have to talk.
We have to talk.
So we all need to get the catalog, which is out now.
There will be many opportunities, and
okay.
our interest in China is definitely for the long run and not for the short run. So you'll bump into me.
We'll look forward to following you all. So once again, thank you for joining us on our first panel. We are going to have a short break now, and I will. During this break, we're going to have an inspirational design work from a talented design academy Eindhoven graduate who's here with us, Wei Xiaoshen, and we're going to have a little journey. We're going to travel between history, tradition, and modernity. It's an 8-minute film, and it's so you can follow. The project is a cultural critique of the dystopian image of China in the West by creating a cultural fantasy. Wei Xiaoshen hopes it can evoke people's imagination to consider alternates of so-called modernity, thereby realizing how deeply our prejudices are rooted in different ideologies. So enjoy the film, and we'll be back in 8 minutes. Please also watch out for the music, particularly the ancient Chinese guqin, which is used, which brings nature and the cosmos together. And it's said that you talk through the heart while playing this instrument, so it's very beautiful. So the title of the work is Underneath Another Moon and Back. So yeah, enjoy, and see you in 8 minutes. Yeah.
家好，我是米子君。今天我们的豚羊就煮螺蛳粉吃吧。
大家好，我们有
你好，
好，来我们下一个威猛先生检测。
Yeah, I'm. Yes, welcome back. So we just enjoyed a very good, beautiful video by Wei Xiaoshen. And she is here with us today, so we just would like to give a hand of applause for her. Please stand up, Wei Xiaoshen. So she is from Wuhan. She is a young graduate. She just graduated from the Design Academy in Eindhoven. She's actually on the online studios as well, so look her up. And we look forward to following more of your work in the coming years. Thank you very much. Okay, so we are back for panel 2, Pioneers of Change, Design for a Better Environment. What's happening in the world, the changes that happened in the past, what is new, and how can we shape our future for the better? China speaks of an eco-civilization and is investing heavily in a circular economy. We are witnessing huge advances in sustainability, which we've also seen in the countryside. Meanwhile, we are making developments in biotechnology which can bring solutions also to the viruses. And especially in this time, we need to dare plunge and take risks to pioneer. So we are delighted to welcome our panelists. We will first start with Steven Smith, who is the Director Asia of MVRDV. He's based in Shanghai, so he's joining us from Shanghai. And actually what's very exciting is that Steven is from Eindhoven, and we are actually here at the FNR in an MVRDV designed building, so double happiness here. So Steven, the floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. As I was just introduced, I'm the director for MVRDV in Asia. I left Eindhoven 1987, I think. I was 29. I remember buying my zuurdezenbrood at the, I think, a nature shop where the FNR is now built. I've worked as an architect and urbanist in China since 2002. Living and working in the mega cities of Beijing, Hong Kong, Shanghai, and Chengdu actually as well. So for those people who don't know, Shanghai is the largest city of China. It has about 34 million people, which is about double the population of the Netherlands. So during this time in China, I basically always looked for opportunities to champion sustainability. Low carbon footprints, circular economy initiatives, wherever those opportunities arose. And of course, there are many projects in China, and maybe that's why I like working there, because there are a lot of opportunities to try out those new initiatives. So I'm going to show you 4 current projects that our teams are currently working on from both Rotterdam and Shanghai. So I'm based in the MVRDV Shanghai satellite, and we are very much working in collaboration with our Rotterdam teams. In real-time collaborations, we design these projects. So I'm going to show you 4 projects that I think are somewhat relevant to the topic today, and very much also looking at bringing nature to the cities. So slide 1 is our Tainan Springs project in Tainan, where we transformed a formal city center shopping mall into an urban lagoon. This is a very new concept and it's proven extremely popular. I was there at the opening, and it really, the city flocked to this new urban space. So this is a place where, plants are allowed to develop into a lush jungle and reconnecting the city to nature and its waterfront. Next slide. So you can see that the springs have replaced a sort of an old department store that was in need for redevelopment. Next slide. And here you can see how this has really become an oasis. It's dropped into the basement level, and so people can also, it's also a spectacle, right? People can look around from the street level down into this urban lagoon. Next slide. This is a project where we are redeveloping transforming a disused urban factory into a creative hub. We call it the Idea Factory. This is in Shenzhen, and Shenzhen is the industrial hub of China that is now reinventing itself and becoming more the Silicon Valley of China. So there's a need for for these collaborative workspaces. Next slide. So we recycled, exposed the existing concrete frame and inserted a public stairway that brings people up to a public space on top of the building where we have placed a bamboo forest. And so there are all sorts of new public activities that are placed up in the sky that bring a lot of new life to this heritage district in Shenzhen. Next slide. This is a picture of that new public stairway that comes through the old factory and it takes you up to that new green space. Next slide. So this project is what we call an urban living room. This is a new sort of typology, a larger urban typology that you see a lot in Shenzhen. And so this new public space is surrounded by high-rises. So this urban living room brings vitality and innovation to one of Shenzhen's new town projects. We bring in 20 programs. There is a library, a cultural center, outdoor theater, amongst other things. And it's all about creating a seamless integration of landscape, leisure, commerce, and culture. This project is currently one of our key projects we're working on from the Shanghai satellite. Next one. Here you can see how we're integrating the landscape, and sort of the landscape design in this project is at least as important as the architecture. And the architecture is really supporting the creation of these green terraces that provide a lot of shade and bring people out of the high rises and bring them into this almost urban forest in the center of this new town. Next slide. And you can see that that it's a new type of living room, as we call it, and we look forward to seeing that finished. Next slide. This is a project which is actually in one of China's main mega cities, where we're proposing a new future for a historic canal, and we're transforming this infrastructure into a public space for culture, life, and ecology. So this project, in the middle of a megacity, we naturalize the canal's edges and create diverse habitats for biodiversity, while also generating different landscapes, wetlands, banks, and islands. So again, bringing nature into the city in a real proposal that is currently under consideration. Next slide. So. Furthermore, these wetlands that we are creating, giving more space to water and ecology in the middle of a megacity. So, as we're working in China, the country of the megacity, MVDV for a long time has sort of collaborated with the Y Factory, which is the think tank in Delft. Where we instigate a number of future city projects, and we have active participation of Chinese students every year. So that we employ actually quite a few architects that have come through the Y Factory in Delft, and that's given them a lot of space to experiment. Next slide. So this is one of those, exhibitions that was probably at the Biennale, where we basically trying to reinvent the tower, reinvent the skyscraper, opening it up, allowing room for nature, allowing room for air, and basically creating this vertical village type, which we believe is going to be extremely important to make these future mega cities as dynamic and livable as possible. Next slide. So this is actually a proposal that has come out of all this research at the Y Factory. This was a proposal for a 3D headquarters in Shenzhen, and you can see how we insert public space, public green space all over the tower, and you can see the contrast with its neighbors. For some people who know our market hall in Rotterdam, you can see there's actually direct cross-fertilization, between our Chinese projects and our Dutch projects. This is something I really believe. I think some of our projects in Europe would be different if they hadn't been exposed also to our thinking to the megacities in Asia. So finally, This is, the era of COVID, where we have a lot of Zoom activities, and we share a lot of our ideas and our buildings through Zoom, with media and universities in China. So again, this talk about the depot in Rotterdam, which is one of our current, new buildings in Rotterdam. Again, this is a project that is influenced by our work in Asia, and for us, it's very clearly a two-way process. By the way, the glass for this building comes from Shenzhen, and as we all know, the construction industry in China has a massive impact on the built environment around the world. So this two-way, innovation in materials, construction technologies, etc., is something we are very much exposed to, and where we really can make a contribution. Thank you.
Thank you. That was fascinating. Then we're going to go to Anushka van Drie, who's joining us from Beijing. Welcome, Anushka. Anushka is a Dutch curator and creative director, and she has been active in China for over a decade, developing cutting-edge projects between design, art, and stimulating a dialogue and experimentation between creative disciplines. So, Anushka, welcome.
Thank you, Marianne. Thank you, everyone. Very happy to join the panel today. I'll start a little bit more about myself. I've been living in China since 2005, actually, so a little bit longer than a decade. I currently work as Marianne mentioned, as a design curator for the K11 group, but also work independently as a curator and creative director. At the same time, I actually also work as an R&D lead at a Chinese-US architecture studio called People's Architecture Office. And there we focus on social impact through design. Today, I'll talk briefly about the most recent exhibition that I curated for K11 called Disruptive Matter, which focuses on how designers both in China and internationally are responding to the issue of climate change. And then I'll talk a little bit more in general about sustainable design in China. First of all, let me quickly explain a little bit about K11. K11 is an art mall concept which was founded in Hong Kong in 2008. And which since has expanded all over China. You can see these in the next two slides. The concept is in essence a shopping mall where art and cultural exhibitions and programming really form the DNA of the concept and provide added value to the shopping experience. The aim of this is really to make art and culture more accessible to a general Chinese audience by bringing it basically out of the museums and into more of an everyday life setting. Disruptive Matter is part of K11's annual design exhibition schedule, and it was on show in Hong Kong from January till April this year, and is now at K11 Shenyang till November 8. And so with the exhibition, we had several goals. The key objective was to showcase both emerging and established Chinese designers while also being global in our perspective. And we wanted to highlight the issue of our time, as I mentioned, focusing on how designers are thinking about climate change and also the idea of regenerative design. Two aspects were fundamental. We wanted to show a pragmatic approach while also being broad in terms of discipline. And our public would, of course, be the K11 shopping public, as you'll see on the next slide. I didn't add it in this. I think you have the whole presentation. Never mind. A place set up for people to buy more and more and more. But I think especially there where we have a chance, this is where we have a chance to shape people's kind of ideas and choices and values. The exhibition set up in 5 chapters, forming a narrative that take the viewer through a broad set of issues. And ultimately, we have a group of 18 designers and artists representing a wide array of disciplines that you'll see on the next slide. They range from product to fashion to art and engineering even, and actually quite some Dutch participants too. And so I'll go into some of the highlights of the show, just to kind of also allow the audience in the Netherlands to get a bit of an understanding of what's happening in this sector in China. So for instance, we have the project REC by Bentu, and Bentu is an experimental design studio exploring concepts of product, space, and environment. They believe all factors of an object have equal value. So materials, manufacturing, form, and cultural influence all play an equal part. And through design, they transform the discarded and everyday into the spirited and desired. So their focus is on industrial waste, of which there's obviously a whole lot of in China. Materials such as construction waste, waste aluminium, or ceramics. And they repurpose it into like beautiful objects for the home or for use in retail and interiors. The REC project is a conceptual project that researched the ceramic industry in the city of Chaozhou and its waste. And then they repurposed it into a series of furniture made completely from that ceramic waste that you see here in the slide. Although we show this conceptual project actually in the exhibition, Bentu's strength is really that it doesn't just stay speculative. They go beyond basically, and they've been able to grow their brand into a very kind of big presence in the market. And so it's really helping to circulate that waste by the products that are going and that people are using every day. Following this are two designers that both represent the Beijing Institute of Fashion Technology Innovative Materials Research Center. And this is a center dedicated to developing and working with new sustainable materials. We showcase designed by Victor Li, who's working with mycelium, and Liang Yan Kai, who created a series of algae bioplastic food packaging. And what we wanted to show here is that designers around the world are working with these types of new biomaterials. And in doing that, hopefully this will help push the industry and also push it more into the mainstream, that we start to develop it and not have plastic, like virgin plastic around us all over every day. Finally, we also showcase the fashion label Reclothing Bank, whose mission is not to only give new life to previously loved garments and work with sustainable fabrics such as tencel and rPET, but also provide gainful employment to disadvantaged communities in who they work with to create their clothes. So speaking a bit more in general about renewable or regenerative design in China, I think a big difference is simply the scale of China. And although maybe in terms of awareness of environmental problems, this probably started a little bit later, but things move incredibly fast in China. And there's, of course, this vast industry that can be put to use, as well as also a major governmental push at the moment. And so a lot of designers are focusing on this issue and the wide array of problems that we face. For instance, in the previous slide, you see this startup Caftech, which is integrating coffee ground waste into products on the market, tackling the waste issue of the booming coffee sector in China, which has really exploded in the time that I've been here. So the slides that have been showing now are basically just reflecting a little bit on the visitors in the exhibition. You see that they posted a lot of images to social media, etc. And on this slide, you see, just on the next slide, sorry, you see the words duration and solve the problem. If we can ultimately bring these ideas into our everyday lives and habits as people and let's say consumers, or what we might be in the future, cherishing time and lifespans of objects and demanding to solve the problem from others as well as ourselves, however complex the problems seem, it's a step in the right direction, I think, one from which we can at least start to tackle the system wherever we are in the world, whether that's in China or in the Netherlands or elsewhere. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Anushka. So now we're moving next also to one of the participants in the Disruptive Matter show, which is still ongoing in Shenyang. We're going to Lila Wu, who is the CEO and of Noni Group. She is a leader in developing circular materials in China. Lila, where are you based? In Beijing as well?
Shanghai.
Oh, Shanghai. Okay, great. Well, over to you, Lila Wu.
Great. Thank you, Anushka, and thank you everyone for inviting me to be in Dutch Design Week. And I'm a big fan for Dutch Design Week for the past few years because I think Netherlands is a big home ground for innovative material and sustainable materials. So I'm going to start my presentation, which is called a Material Hero. Actually, Noni is a material-driven platform that we're trying to bring all sorts of new material from conceptual stage all the way to the market. So our vision and goal is try to accelerate the usage and application of innovative materials. But throughout the 5 years of my practice, I noticed that the issues of, next slide please, yes. My practice, I noticed that in China, a lot of people are a little bit more concerned and interested in sustainable material at this moment. So among our 10,000 new material in our library and database, we actually have over 80% material that are sustainable materials. So more and more, Uni is becoming a big mover in the sustainable material, I think, theme. Okay, next slide, please. So in our line of work, we're not an NGO, we're actually a company. So we provide innovative material solution, corporate sustainability programs, and provide a lot of, we initiate a lot of community sustainability events. And we also sell our library to different universities and companies. So I think this is probably sounds familiar to a lot of Dutch people, but in China, what we're doing is it's quite rare and it's a little bit new for the Chinese market. So in the city center of Shanghai, which is really in the heart of the CBD, we have a makerspace. Actually, we made this makerspace for design communities in China, which is not only for kids, it's actually not for kids at all, and it's not for hobbyists. So our main goal is to help Chinese designers or companies to fast prototype and test ideas. Another thing we do is actually organizing a lot of city festival and big design, material and design related exhibitions. So this year, during, and actually right after the COVID crisis in China, we organized a international what they call Matter Matters exhibition in Hangzhou, which is part of the Hong Kong Land City Festival. We actually exhibited 35 set of, I would say, artwork and design work from all over the world. We're very grateful that we had about 6 designers that are coming from Netherlands. We've shown their amazing work. We shipped their work from Netherlands to China, which is a hell of trouble. But then this exhibition was a big success in the summer. We are trying to show a general public that these materials are not really far away from them. So there are materials that's made of cow blood, from eggshell. There are material from waste, textile, etc. This is a project that we work, sorry, last slide, please. So this is a project we actually work for the Imperial Palace, Forbidden City in China. So the idea is to use new material to redesign a classical guqin table, which is the oldest instrument in China and one of the most important instruments for Chinese historical, I would say, musicians and cultured men, and also the emperors. So to modernize this instrument, we actually work with some carbon fiber company from Germany, and we redesigned this table and trying to bring out interest from the younger generation and make this old instrument young again. So yeah, so in a way we're again trying to not only introduce new material to the market, but also trying to bring material and design together. So this is a Chinese brand called Warrior. It's one of the oldest brand. It's a 92 years old Chinese national brand. It's just canvas shoes. And the brand approached us trying to co-brand with Uni, and we made this sustainable shoe. Because the price of this shoe is really low, because yeah, it's like about 15 euro. So we are not able to use completely sustainable material all over the shoe. So since we're not able to make it completely sustainable, we're trying to educate the user about where this material will go. So on the shoe, it becomes a tool to educate people about what is this shoe made of and how they can get rid of the shoe after the shoe gets old. So Uni organizes exhibitions. We work with companies, and we also actually offer residency program to all the material researchers and designers over the world. In the past few years, we have hosted over 30 designers, and quite a lot of them come from Netherlands. And we're very happy and proud of that. Yeah, these are some of our residency designers.
Okay. This is
So
great.
this is our education program.
We just need to, sorry, we need to run through time, so maybe we can go to last slide, because it's nice to see.
And slide, okay. So we have our education program with universities, and last but not least, we are also organizing our first ever New Material Design and Application Awards. And hopefully we will receive a lot of applications from Dutch designers. Thank you.
That's very exciting. Thank you, Lila. So now off to our speaker who's joining us here in Eindhoven, Pei Ying Lin. She's an artist and designer from Taiwan and based in Eindhoven. And she focuses on exploring science and human society through artistic methods. So she's got a very exciting cookbook that she's going to present to us. So the floor is yours.
All right, thank you. I'm very honored to be invited here as a Chinese diaspora and to talk about my project. And I guess that ethnicity sort of reflect on my perspective of my project. So it would be good if I can go into my slides.
You have to click the button.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Great.
So yes, one of so basically I do a lot of research around different biological subjects, like such as designing sex toys for plants to explore human perspective, and also appropriate a mandala ritual using bacteria, where I have a printer that controlled by brainwave, so I can print bacteria as a process of meditation. But the other main focus of my subjects is viruses, and one of the key ideas is virosphere. So you probably have heard of biosphere before. Virosphere is similar to biosphere, and it talks about the sphere that viruses are occupying. So it's the extension of biosphere, where every places we have viruses connecting different species together. From there, it was back in 2016 that I first had a collaboration with a Dutch scientist, which also brought me here in the Netherlands, Miranda de Graaf. She is a scientist in Erasmus Medical Center. She introduced me this really interesting virus called norovirus, which you probably all had it before. It makes you puke and diarrhea. And it's also a virus that doesn't have a vaccine yet. Back then we didn't have the pandemic, right? So we were talking about how human trying to eradicate viruses, for example, smallpox, actually create more risks for people, because now we don't have a vaccine for smallpox, and if it happens again, then it's dangerous. So we suggest that for norovirus, which doesn't have vaccines for us, we can try to tame them. And by taming them, we become tamers, and we have to think about whether humans are a part of nature or not, whether the viruses are using us as a habitat or they are invading us, whether we are making decisions for human individuals when we do decisions, or making the decision for whole species. And also from there, we also develop exercises for the tamers to do certain movements, such as cuffing onto your elbows, which is something that's very difficult if you don't practice it, but now everybody knows how to do it. But to accommodate your body to this new challenge when you think about viruses. But after that, I thought, why not go a little bit more closer to virus and trying to eat them? And it's also during this research that I discovered that there's only about 10% of viruses that we already know, and the majority of it is actually beneficial for their host. So why don't we just think about viruses as we are thinking about the probiotics now? Can we use them in our cuisines? So this cookbook is divided in 5 chapters, ranging from simulating the sickness to using viruses for fermentation, and then using viruses as spice that triggers reactions on your body, all the way to using viruses to control the very delicate process of eating and color changes, and also other pleasures. And the final part, which is designing cuisines that includes viruses. So viruses are also a guest, where the whole food, whole dinner process is contributing to human and also viruses and other things in the food chain to enjoy it. So I don't know why this one is wrong. I think the slide is the wrong order somehow. Okay, well, it's missing the last part, but I have a few slides behind it where this project is in installations. In the installations, you will have a huge list of viruses, and these viruses contains about almost 7,000 names of it. They are the viruses that we know so far. And like for the one that caused the pandemic right now, it's only underneath SARS, so it doesn't even have a name on it. And I also have a dinner performance where people can try the food while I tell them how the viruses are entering their body, what kind of reactions that will trigger to their body, for them to enjoy this very intimate contact with the viruses. And it also contains some videos that are soundless, and which there's an actress performing, and she's eating the viruses while the virus is entering her, and with notes on the side of it. So it's an attempt to suggest that we can think about the virus differently, and perhaps we can see new opportunities. So that's my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Pei-Ying. So viruses as opportunities comes at certainly a moment. It's now we're going to open up the panel discussion. So we have everyone together speaking about the pandemic and viruses, and also because we have 3 speakers live from China. How is it, because we're in the middle of a semi-lockdown here, how have you experienced it? And also we're speaking about circularity and design to improve our lives. And sustainability, do we see that, are we back to normal in China, or are we seeing an acceleration in sustainability solutions? How have you experienced it in your fields? Because we are now experiencing the semi-lockdown, and I understand also from our friends in Hangzhou that spoke earlier that everything is back to normal in China. How would you say it?
It's pretty much normal now.
Okay.
Except that for our line of work, we usually do a lot of traveling to the West and bring a lot of international materials to China. And nowadays, it's getting more difficult to import. So this is affecting a lot. And a lot of companies are starting to look for local solutions. So in the past, maybe you were importing materials, but nowadays, maybe we need to import technology or solutions.
Okay, so it's very interesting to see that. We'll go and ask some individual questions before we move to the Zoom. Is that okay? Yeah, okay, good. So Stephen, we had this very interesting view of Tainan Spring. You are an expert also in the circular economy. What do you think Dutch designers can contribute to China, especially when speaking of the circular economy?
I mean, every time I'm in Eindhoven and I always visit Dutch Design Week, you can see there's a really keen drive in the Netherlands, especially with young designers, to get with the plan, right, to solve global problems like global warming and so on. I think the education in the Netherlands allows. The Design Academy Eindhoven is one of those schools famous for it. To really, to really research with absolute freedom. I think that's going to be very infectious in China as well. I think in the next decade or so, I think well, China is as the factory of the world, even though they are reconfiguring themselves as maybe the circular factory of the world. I think there's going to be it's going to be extremely important to cross-fertilize. I think between the Dutch approach and the larger scale that it can be applied to in China. I think that's going to be crucial.
Larger scale. Yeah, that's definitely what we're going to see. Anushka, is there something you want to add on that? On what, because we've seen also in Disruptive Matters a lot of foreign designers, not only Dutch, but also from other nationality conversing on this matter with Chinese designers. What do you see as their contributions at the moment?
Yeah, I guess I can echo what Stephen also said. I think the awareness was a little bit later on here in China in terms of the design community and the relevance or the impact, let's say, of the environment or thinking about the environment. But as most things in China, things develop really, really fast. So I think very quickly this is going to pick up more and more. I mean, within the exhibition, we have some really interesting examples. But I think these will grow exponentially among the field as really designers start to think along their whole kind of production chain, where the materials come from, what they're going to do with them, where they go. And on the same side, this will, I think, also change within what the consumers or people that are actually going to use these products. I think there also kind of the demand is changing and the awareness is growing. For instance, also in that example I brought up, and actually Lila has a project similar where they're looking at coffee waste. And coffee is totally a new resource or kind of fairly new thing in China. In the last 20 years, it's grown crazily. It's a huge industry, and so there's also a huge amount of waste that actually I think, both in terms of like how the cups, the disposable cups, but also the coffee. These parts are people are really starting to get aware of that this is really a big problem and that they need to do something about it, whether that's through design, but also through in how you choose to consume. Yeah.
Okay. Lila, do you want to contribute something to this discussion? Because you're welcoming also Dutch designers to join in your awards and your project. So look forward to also hearing your thoughts on it.
In fact, like I said, this year all our residency programs are canceled because other international designers are unable to travel freely. And we cannot really import a lot of materials freely like before, especially bio-based material. So this year, it's actually quite an amazing opportunity for some new material to open their door in China, because a lot of companies realize that they can no longer produce like before, especially there is a trade war between America and China. And a lot of factories are actually looking for new solutions, new technology to find their new innovation in their line of work. So like I said, it's a good chance for designers to sell their ideas, and it's a good chance for Dutch company to sell their technology and their solutions to China at the moment and work with creatives from China. So in the future, I see that Netherlands could be a great hub for R&D, and China is also switching from just made in China to a lot of new create and design in China. This process is actually speed up this year.
Good. And that's very interesting. We'll continue also with the general questions afterwards. Pei-Ying, you also speak of the virus as a material, and we're very interesting because scientists are coming to realize is that viruses are not mere causes of diseases and nuisance on the fringe of life, but a key part of the living world. Can you name an example of a design virus or a beneficial virus we should know of?
Well, So for example, I know tobacco mosaic virus is making tobacco plants more durable to drought. And actually, another thing really common in the Netherlands is almost all of the tomatoes in the supermarkets that you can get has a virus on it. It's called Pepino mosaic virus, but it's intentionally put on it to be as a vaccine, so the tomato plants doesn't catch the virus at the wrong time. So they have the right time to adapt to them, and by the time they are bearing fruits, they can still bear the fruits as expected. So that's like, I would say, a beneficial way of using it. And also for the Nobel Prize this year, the CRISPR technology is also virus-based. Yeah, so.
Okay, fascinating. Liddy, did you have some questions from our audience?
One question.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
The question is, the composition of the population in China is fast changing due to the aging population. What's the impact on China's mega cities and the architecture?
Sorry, can you repeat that question? Yes. I didn't hear the part.
The composition of the population in China is fast changing due to the aging population. What is the impact on China's megacities and architecture?
Well, obviously, graying population is going to potentially reduce the size of the cities. So, I'm not 100% clear on the time frame, but I mean, we've heard these numbers that, by 2100, Tokyo's population would be halved, as an example, outside China. But this will also impact China. So it will be a huge impact on urbanization, and that, in fact, the cities will probably, have a lot more space for nature, to bring, much more landscape into the city. So the cities are going to lose their density, that's for sure, if the population decreases. I'm not exactly sure where the pivot point is, where China's population will plateau. But you can already see in Chinese cities now that there is more attention to to the aging question, in that you see a lot of projects that really, for older people to retire, to retire at a higher level of lifestyle than it used to be. So I think it's something that the governments in China are definitely, starting to plan ahead for. But I'm not sure if it's in my career span.
Okay, thank you. So, is there any more questions from Zoom?
I have one question for Anushka.
Okay. Anushka, yeah.
The question is, what's the difference in Chinese and Western approach in design for circularity? Can you explain eco-civilization on China, how it's reflected in design?
Thanks, Lee. Like, what is the difference? I mean, it is in terms of a sustainable circular design in that sense. I don't think there's this very, very stark difference in how designers approach it, whether they are in the Netherlands or in China. I mean, it is a phenomenon where you're really trying to consider the different processes and aspects of the design. Though, as I mentioned, for instance, what you have in China is this, this large-scale industry or production base, which ultimately also produces a lot of waste. So I think in China, I see designers more readily kind of approaching that and trying to tackle or work with things coming out of that, to work with industry and to put it to kind of a better use or a different use. Though that is a kind of emerging way of working. In the presentation, I had the example of Bentu. I have another designer in the show that produced a series of cutlery, basically trying to kind of tackle the single-use cutlery items that come with your takeaway food. And she really wanted to make also the product not out of virgin plastic and try to use a bioplastic. But the factory she worked with had no experience in it. So it was a very long process of converting that factory, starting to work with the bioplastic and to kind of develop that design. Yeah, I think this is ultimately, it's a starting point. There's like a lot of different designers are starting in this direction. I think in a few years we'll really see a bigger impact in that sense. Then the second part of your question, actually, could you repeat it, Lidi?
I think we have to move on to the sorry, but we can
no worries.
We can continue on the maybe if we have chance at the end. So thank you so much for joining panel 2. We are going to move in shortly to our panel 3. But maybe perhaps we could give a little clap, also a round of applause for Pei-Ying Li, Stephen Smith, Anushka and Laila, who've been joining us on the Creative Pioneers of Tomorrow. Thank you. Great. So we're moving into panel 3. So, welcome to panel 3, intercultural cooperation during and after COVID. How can we collaborate and what is the infrastructure which can support creativity in both the Netherlands and China? So at our table we have four panelists. 2 are here, 2 are in China. Ronnie and Monique are here, and Miranda and Lei Shen unfortunately could not make it, so it's Mrs. Xiang who's joining us. So first we'll start with Ronnie Kuppens, who is from Eindhoven, I believe. He works for Brainport Development. You are China project manager. Yes. So over to you. You'll just give us a short little briefing also on Brainport Eindhoven.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, welcome everybody offline and online to our beautiful Brainport Eindhoven region. Eindhoven, this region started mostly 125 years ago with Philips starting here. We were known as Philips Town, and with that came a lot of innovation and high-tech design, which really was based on an ecosystem of close cooperation and open innovation. Throughout the years, this built the base for what the region is today, with big companies like Philips and ASML, and all of their first and second tier suppliers that are based in this area. If you can see our logo in the corner, it's the arrow represents innovation and continuing to move forward and to innovate, and the circle symbolizes that you have to work together and you have to do it together to make this happen. Through this philosophy, we accelerate growth. We look at smart societies, social challenges that we can solve to create a more thriving community. We also use, of course, world-class design. More specifically for our China focus, we help China outbound support. So Dutch companies that want to move to China, we developed a roadmap for them where we look at all the steps that you take when you're starting your activities in China. And for each step, we identify and we connect the company or the entrepreneur with the people that can support them to really foster this collaboration. What we do also is we identify opportunities. So we see big market trends. For instance, in the automotive industry, we see that there's a lot of production in China. So then we go and identify what kind of opportunities are really there. And then we bring it back to the companies in our region and tell them, look, in China, they have a need for this or for that. With that, we then try to develop clusters. So we group together companies that have a similar need to go to China. And then we try to create trade missions, or we support them to go to China as a group of companies instead of just an individual company bringing one product. Of course, we need to analyze risks. We need to support them and protect our companies here. The goal is, of course, to guide businesses and facilitate growth. We also do this the other way around. So Chinese companies that want to come here, first we identify the opportunities for them. It's not that we just want every Chinese company to come here. We really look at which companies can strengthen our ecosystem and can help us with social criteria or social challenges that we have in the region. So what kind of companies can help us with, for instance, battery technology, or they can help us with medtech problems that we have. Then again, we bring them here, we help them with fact-finding tours, where can they settle, how does this ecosystem work? We connect them to the right companies. When they're here, we help them, of course, with investor relationships. And again, we facilitate growth for them. During these COVID times, what we did mostly with from Braveboard, we had our COVID-19 help desk. So we help companies to inform them on what kind of subsidies are available for them, or maybe some practical tips on how they can keep their operation running. Of course, we have financial support. We had a lot of online events, like this one. We use this time also to strategize and to prepare for after Corona, so that once we can travel again and once things open again, that we're really ready to connect. And one of the tools that we developed for this actually is Braveboard Connect. In our region, we have a lot of very interesting companies that are at the top of their industry, but it's very hard, especially now, to get in touch with them and to know who are these companies. So for this, we developed a platform where you can see who these companies are, what they do, how you're going to get in touch with them, but also what kind of questions and what kind of needs they have. And for this, we had a small video.
Thank you, Ronnie. Now we're going to move to China. So Eindhoven to China with Miranda Yan. So Miranda, welcome. Miranda is the Vice President of the 751D Park at the Design District in Beijing. And she is also a curator of the Beijing Design Week. So Miranda, welcome. You're going to give us a little presentation, I believe.
Yes. Thank you very much for inviting me to the panel. I would like to talk a little bit about myself and also the organization of 751. I'm Miranda Yan. I'm running the 751D Park in Beijing, and 751D Park is actually it was old factory, a gas factory in Beijing, but we regenerated into a culture and a creative cluster. Mainly, we call it is a Beijing Design District. Our mission is to mainly to regenerate the old factory with culture, with art, with the creativity. But we also would like to establish a platform for designers and creativity people, not only the Chinese designers, but also all the international designers and the creative people. And we also would like to make design and creativity more accessible to the general public. So that's the main mission for me in 751. And I would like to also please back to back to the second slide. I would like to talk a little bit about Beijing Design Week this year. Since in China everything is almost back to normal. So we still make Beijing Design Week, offline and in 751. This year, our topic is also about the COVID-19, and we encourage these designers to discuss the distance, the social distance, all those kind of topics. So this year, the topic is beyond the boundaries. And we encourage people to discuss how designers respond to the COVID-19. And this year actually is a little bit limited for intercultural collaborations, but we still have several intercultural exhibition on design. Normally, in the past 9 years, that we have at least 50% of the design exhibition for intercultures, but this year is a little bit less. The first one I would like to talk is about Mexican exhibition. We collaborated with Mexico embassy, and we invited Mexican designers to design some kind of small books with the background of Chinese culture. And the next exhibition, please, next slide, is a kind of a cultural experience for the Chinese citizens on Korean handicraft. We invited the general public and the young people to Beijing Design Week to 751 to experience the Korean crafts. And the next is the graphic design exhibition. Now we invited more than 300 graphic designers to design the posters to fight the COVID-19, and also to support each other, to give more confidence and to survive from the COVID-19. So those 300 designers are from 10 countries, more than 50 cities. So it's kind of also the intercultural collaboration for graphic designers, and to show their confidence. And for the future collaborations that we would like to still, because this is the 10th year for Beijing Design Week, 751 Design Festival, and we will still make the design festival going on the next 5 years or 10 years, no matter what happens. So we still hope that we can collaborate with European designers and also Dutch designers to show their design works in China, in Beijing 751. And we actually planned the Urban Regeneration International Conference last year, but it's cancelled because of the COVID-19. So, but next year we still would like to make it happen for the Urban Regeneration Conference, and we still hope that we can find more topics to collaborate with Dutch designers. And actually, next month, now we will collaborate with Tsinghua University for future food topic. It's a kind of a workshop, creative workshop.
I think we need to end this, because we're need to wrap it up because we're running on the clock.
Okay, yeah. And we have a short video for what we have done in this year for the Design Week, and what's our area design district is like. That please, play the video, a short video.
Sorry?
There's no video.
Oh, there's.
We will show it later.
Oh, we'll show it later. Okay, and we'll keep also communicating through the website. Okay, so thank you, Miranda. Again, sorry we're a bit short on time. We're moving now to Mrs. Xiang. So we're delighted to have you here, Mrs. Xiang. And you are from the International Design Contest, I understand. So Lei Shen is unfortunately not here, but we have Mrs. Xian, and I believe you're in Shanghai. Were you?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Over to you.
Hi. Thank you. Thanks a lot for having us tonight. I've been listening from all this the fantastic ideas from all colleagues, and really inspired. I hear on behalf of the Yangtze River Delta City Creative Economy Cooperation Committee in Shanghai to present some opportunities and support possibly we will bring at the CECC, bring to the colleagues in China and the Netherlands or any other parts if you have a colleague would like to join as well. So first slide, please. I just try to find... Yes, thank you. Here, as I said, the Yangtze River Delta City Creative Economy Cooperation Committee is a really long term. It's just called the CECC as abbreviation. We have a number of activities which mainly with the mission of working with the Yangtze Delta cities, region cities, which are about 41 cities in Shanghai, Zhejiang province, Jiangsu province, and Anhui province now as well. We mainly today, I would like to introduce to colleagues here is the international design context is the first one, not like the other colleagues presented, been like a good track record. We have this as a first event, big international event. Yes, thank you. So the mainly we would like to get the opportunities from the Yangtze River region, the Delta region, which you colleagues can see from the screen here. Many of cities in the Yangtze River Delta actually are not so well developed as Shanghai, and as a colleague, so you could chase the same record from some colleagues previously tonight or today presented the rural areas and also with how, for example, how to manage, control the waste or how to develop a better region, community life. And we here at CECC working with the Shanghai City Council and City Council from other cities would like to open the doors of all these cities, the region, to colleagues in the Netherlands and China as well. So next slide, please. Yep, so through the IDC, mainly we welcome colleagues to submit the proposals. So different from the purely evaluate arts and design work, we actually would like to select the best proposals to help colleagues here to develop the real applications in China in the Yangtze River Delta, Yangtze Delta region. So mainly it's arts and design and also any innovation or creative related activities. And also if any like ready products would like to take the chance to sell in China, mainly online. So if colleagues are interested or any colleagues is interested, okay. The website I will share about the IDC.
Move to the website so that we can so we can find more information.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Just the backward for the last one, the previous one, please. That's the main one.
Maybe we can share at the end because we really need to. We're pressing on time. So And now thank you so much, Mrs. Xiang, and apologies for pressing on time. We have Monique Knaper here, who's the China coordinator at Creative Holland and who's been a big supporter of this event. So we're honored that you're here. And so she's going to tell us a little bit more about Creative Holland and the opportunities there.
Thank you very much, Marie. Thanks very much, audience and everybody in the discussions. I think I was also, like Ms. Xiang, very inspired by all the, the willingness and all the ideas that are floating around and people giving opportunities to each other. Yes, Creative Holland is a platform that is already existing for about 5 years. Creative Holland is a platform. It is trying to put all the efforts what are already existing in the Netherlands, representing the creative industries, bringing that into, you could say, a platform of opportunities. It's especially for smaller and medium-sized creative industries. The sector, of course, is very broad. It's large, but it is sometimes very difficult for smaller companies to go abroad to find the right partners. That is exactly what we try to do with Creative Holland China, to make the way a little bit easier to find the right partners for the very broad industry it is. Because the Dutch have a lot of things to offer. I think we all are aware of that. Look at the Dutch Design Week. I think there's so many creative things. Part is, the creative part of it, the artistic side is as important as, of course, the commercial side, I feel. And the Creative Holland mission is really to bring more projects into reality, to have more traction happening between the Netherlands and China. Because I feel both sides feel the need. There is we need to collaborate. We need the market, you could say it very plat, very Dutch, maybe very direct. For Dutch creatives, they need to find new markets around the world. China is, of course, so large and it is so emerging. I think I've seen the development for more than 30 years. It's amazing, and I'm always impressed by what's happening in China, and especially, the openness and the willingness to work together. So Creative Holland already started 5 years ago. However, it was, you could say, a static platform, bringing all the elements that are, existing in the Netherlands together. So it's the ministries of foreign affairs, economic affairs, even cultural affairs, but also all the parties that are connecting. So like the Stimuleringsfund, it's the HNI, it's Dutch culture. So there are many, many organizations involved helping creative industries. However, sometimes you also need people. You need motors to see the opportunities and to work. So since last year, not me, the people upstairs, they decided that it's good to have kind of country managers. So I am proud to be the China country manager, but we also have one for the United States and one for Germany, as we chose 3 countries as a priorities. What we do, we really try to find all the opportunities we can find. We also do that together, of course, with our embassy and with our post, but also with, I have to say something especially about this guy on this picture. This is Michiel Roosje. He is based in Chengdu, and he is a kind of front desk for Creative Holland, you could say. We wish to have many more, but he has his own company, and he's trying with us to, and together with all the other posts in China, to see what are the opportunities. Then you see what we do. We just saw the speaker, Ms. Xiang, from the International Innovation Contest. They reach out, they reach out to us and we see what can we do for them. We also did that for the Goldreed Industrial Design Award, and we found one of the winners. You can see the picture of Mobike. So we try to really see what are the opportunities and match them. Like you also said, it's a changing world. We're living sometimes in a different world, because you see in China, they use this app for COVID to make sure that life can go on as soon as possible. There are many differences in China, but I think we are also trying to find where are the common things. And the common things is really to make this world better, to have more innovation, and to have a better world. So I think that we all share, and especially the designers in both countries are really looking for that. And although the world is changing, I think hopefully it's going to change for a little bit better and not for a more divided or a more coming, together world. We have made now a Creative Holland Weixin, so a WeChat account, which we are very proud of that we will start actually really as of today, because our entry event together with you, with Entry, is really the start of something, and we want to give weekly updates of what's going on in the Netherlands, really trying to connect to the right people, not only government, but also, of course, very many makers, private people, because, of course, we would like to share things, not only bringing things to China, but also bring it back. That's really my contribution. So thank you.
Very beautiful, thank you. It's also a lot about bringing back, and also seeing in our first presentation to see Ma Yansong that it's nice to see also after all the Dutch projects in China to see a Chinese project architecture developing in China. So do we have questions?
Yes. Ingrid from the Dutch Design Foundation.
Okay.
Hi.
Good.
Great you're here.
The mute.
Audio.
I'm sorry,
yes,
but I had some really troubleshooting this morning, so I've been really going in and out this beautiful, super interesting meeting. I really regret it so much that I didn't have the chance to, and now I'm really using my iPad, so it's like, where am I on the camera? So I'm there. Okay, good. I'm really so happy to be there. We had to deal, as you know, with quite some troubles already the last week, so I'm happy to be here and to talk to you all.
Well, thank you, yeah.
Shall I just continue and do my little kind of welcome word on behalf of Dutch Design Week?
Please.
Yes, please.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Good. Yes, well, first of all, I can maybe just do it like this, but that feels better for me. Yeah. Okay, so I'm so happy to be in this meeting, and I'm going to look back at a lot of things because there were such important and beautiful topics addressed by all of you. I already reacted to the first with the nature and the connection to nature, the respect we have to have with for nature, and that we are all kind of equal in our desire and also our need for nature, although we have different cultures. And I think that brings everything together, with this new intimacy, as we call it, this Dutch Design Week, we are more than ever connected to each other, I think. Also in our, you could say, battle against the virus, but also that would be really even more important, I think, because it's more urgent and important to address the problems we have in the field of climate change. And this new intimacy made it for me this last week really possible to talk with many people, not just in the Netherlands, of course, but also with international designers that are joining Dutch Design Week this year. And I'm also very happy that I can say that the platform we wanted to build also in the live edition that we had to cancel, that it's happening, these connections that we wanted to create between the designer community that are, I think there are 700 3D viewing rooms online, so that's quite a lot. And in these viewing rooms, designers show we are still experimenting, but it's better than just a bold picture thing only, and there's more interaction between the audiences that are visiting our virtual Dutch Design Week, because we do offer many ways of addressing the content of Dutch Design Week and also connecting the designers with people that might be interested in collaboration for the future. And of course, we do hope to have these collaborations for the future also a lot with China. I'm really sorry. I say also stupid things because I missed, of course, parts of the conversation. But I saw somebody also mentioning the topic of degrowth, which is, of course, a very important topic. Meaning degrowth also means really looking into ways of approaching things differently, because we can just say we stop with this industry, but we need to really find other ways to create new jobs maybe. We have big challenges ahead of us. And I think it's very good that together also with China, and I'm not sure how this year the presence of China is in our Dutch Design Week. I'm very sorry about that. There are surely design agencies and designers connected to our program, but I cannot just say it like this, because I work with Beijing Design Week, and they were very busy just before we started, and they hadn't the chance of participating in our World Design Weeks, which is a festival of design festivals internationally. And we do a test with World Design Weeks this year to unite each other, unite with each other online with certain festivals. So there are 9 festivals this year connected to Dutch Design Week, but Beijing is missing. I do hope that we can maybe, do a change there, and that we can maybe also find ways to continue what's happening online over the year. So not say, okay, Dutch Design Week is over, that will not happen. Okay, so I stop now.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And just because we have to end quite soon. We only have a few minutes left. So, Monique, is there something you would like to say also, just to conclude on this last panel, or a question that's still burning?
Yeah, I think it's again very important to see all the things we have in common. I think, like Ronnie is here from Brainport, really trying to reach out for the developments in China that are interesting for your region. I think we are doing that in the same thing in on a national level, you could say. I mean, I wish there was Brainports all over the Netherlands, because I think you do a great job. But I can think we can also agree that if you see what are the developments in China and what are the things that they are looking for, they're so fitting into one world. I think there are many opportunities for lots of people. In that way, I think there is, competition is always good, but I feel like it would be so nice if we could really open up our eyes and see what is there. I mean, of course, you can always look for problems and see difficulties. That is also, it's not easy, it's never easy, but I feel, in this changing world, we need to find common ground. And I think our Dutch designers, creative industries, is very well fitted to tap into the Chinese market.
Well, thank you. And we look forward to seeing more Dutch and Chinese projects blooming through your platform. So thank you very much for your contributions, also to the panelists in China, Miranda and Mrs. Xian. Thank you very much for joining. So what a journey we had today. We traveled quite a long journey here on Design for a Changing World. Bien, we first started with the development of cultural landmark by Chinese architects and his vision on Shan Shui. We moved on to learning more about the highly innovative developments in the countryside, and on the other hand, we learned about the importance of preservation of crafts, and we also had our lessons that were learned from Dutch projects in the countryside. Next, we heard from creative pioneers, Stephen Smith, and we also heard from the innovative way towards a circular economy in China with the presentations of Anushka and Laila. Finally, Pei Ying gave us also a view on the virus as an opportunity. And it is especially in this time that we need to dare, we need to plunge, and we need to take the risks to pioneer. So thank you also to all those platforms that we just heard in our panel 3 that make it happen, for all your support and a network that you're bringing. So thank you for joining us, and also to let you know, to our audience, our journey does not end here. We will also continue next year and throughout the year, so please keep updated through Creative Holland. So we're very much looking also forward to your feedback, your comments. They are all welcome. You'll find also more information on our webpage under Dutch Design Week. Also, what's very important is that, as I said, we're not finishing our journey, and not even tonight, because there will be more. Tonight there is a live stream party from Entry with super Chinese DJs. So we're continuing our journey into creative spheres of music. So you can find also more information on the Dutch Design website, Dutch Design Week website, or on our landing page. So last but not least, thank you to all our speakers that joined us today here in the studio and also by Zoom. Thank you to our listeners, to our audience, and also to all the curious minds out there for their challenging and interesting questions. We'd like to thank all of the supporters, Creative Holland and the other ones, to the technical team that's been here at the FNR. Thank you very much. And of course to Dutch Design Week. And we look forward to seeing you next year, of course, for more China design adventures at Dutch Design Week. So please stay safe, stay healthy. Bye-bye, 再见.
this, I become the death against and fear. With this, I'm a red mural on this ship, and I race with infants for my coronation. I rule over all my dead impersonations, 'cause I've got it. I'm a man now. Dogs who are pulling my hands because their teeth should reflect your golden beard. I've lost some eyeless friends whose blood runs cold. My new people, I'm silent, this pretends to be old, 'cause I won. I'm a man now. Yes, I've got it. I'm a man now. And I won't let you steal it, 'cause I bought it for myself. I'm a man now. Oh Lord, she wants to be a man, but she lies. She wants to be born again, but she loses. She chose her own cross by herself, but she loses because it's a fake. There's nothing we can do to make her change her mind. She's a man now.